Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Sunday, April 30th, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money, and if you are interested in props and parlay picks, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link to our Patreon and to our new channel in the description and comments section below. New York Knicks vs Miami Heat. The Heat pulled off an upset for the ages, slaying Giannis and the Bucks, the East's best, almost with ease. Jimmy Butler went off in the series, averaging 37.6 points per game, while shooting 59.7% overall and hitting some insanely massive shots along the way. And all of this happened in the face of losing guard Victor Oladipo to a season-ending knee injury in Game 2. In the series, Miami's offense averaged 124 points per game, the highest average of any team in the postseason, and shot 51.9% overall. They also shot 45% from three-point range, the best percentage in the postseason. Miami did cough up 14.8 turnovers per game and averaged only 42.6 rebounds per game, struggling on the offensive glass with just 7.4 boards per game. The big question mark for the Knicks going into Game 1 is the status of forward Julius Randle, who will likely be a game-time decision due to an ongoing ankle injury that limited him to just 16 minutes in the clincher versus Cleveland. The injury initially occurred in the regular season finale against the Heat back on March 29. The team's leading scorer, 25 PPG, and rebounder, 10 RPG, in the regular season, Randle did play in all 5 games against the Cavs, averaging 14.4 points on 33.8% shooting and 6.8 rebounds in 28.6 minutes per game. Despite not having their main cog at 100%, the Knicks defense put in big-time work in the first round, holding Cleveland to just 94.2 points per game, limiting them to only 78.4 field goal attempts each game on average. Center Mitchell Robinson has turned aside 2.2 shots per game and also leads the team with 9.8 rebounds in the postseason. Jalen Brunson has averaged 2.2 steals, and his 24 points per game are also a team high. The offense overall has averaged 99.6 points per game and shot 43% overall in the postseason and just 28.2% from 3. Head-to-head, the Knicks won 3 of the 4 regular season matchups straight up and ATS, but were favored in just one of those games. Overall, New York is a pretty 48-35-4 ATS this season and 62-3 ATS over their last 10 games. Miami has been hot, but I like the way that the Knicks defense continued to absolutely dominate in the face of losing arguably their best player in Randle. New York's defense was suffocating in the first round, and they showed how they can force a team into panic shooting in the midst of it. I think Miami can easily fall into such a trap, even Butler, as was proven in their last meeting. There will be a ton of hype around the first postseason rematch between these two since 2012, and with the way New York plays, there will be lots of 90s references as well. While these two teams feel each other out in the opener, the first game might play as some of those 1990s-era games, gritty, tough, and defensive. New York is 6-1-1 ATS in their last 8 games against a team with a winning record and is 4-1 ATS in their last 5 games against the Heat, per Covers.com. Take the Knicks giving the points. The 4 regular season meetings split the total 2-2 with an average score of 223.5 points per game. They scored just 195 points combined in their last meeting just 1 month ago on March 29. All 5 of Miami's first round games went over, and the over is 8-2 in their last 10 games overall. On the other side, all 5 of the Knicks' first round matchups went under as they held the Cavs to under 100 points in all but 1 game. They did the same to Miami in their last meeting, holding them to 92 points on 44.3% shooting. That was the same game where Randle picked up the ankle injury that still hampers him, and the team won despite him playing only 15 minutes and scoring just 3 points. New York's defense has been dictating play in a big way. They did an excellent job with Butler at the end of March, holding him to 12 points on 5-for-10 shooting. Both of these teams were also in the bottom third of dunksandthrees.com pace rankings in the regular season, the Knicks at 26 and the Heat at 29th overall. Despite Miami's offensive outburst in round 1, this will be more of a feeling-out process, allowing the Knicks D to dictate the situation. The under is 26 in the last 26 meetings between these two in New York. Take the under. Golden State Warriors vs Sacramento Kings. To see the Warriors look as flat as they were early on in that Game 6 was quite surprising, but with all the success they've had, the confidence levels within that locker room have to be at a stage where they believe they can beat anyone, anywhere, anytime. The numbers, particularly on the road, may not tell that same story to the outside world, but I know if I was a player that was part of a team that had made 6 NBA Finals appearances in the last 8 years, winning 4 of them, I'd be fairly confident we'd find success in any building we stepped into. On top of that, the Warriors also see a Sacramento team that's still one that's very young, already achieved over their heads this year in the eyes of most, and have next to nothing in Game 7 experience on that roster. Warriors players have to like their chances in that type of scenario no matter what. However, as we saw in Game 6, this opponent's youth may actually be working in their favor the longer this series has gone on, as the Kings were running and making easy transition buckets on multiple occasions after a Golden State made basket. All of those playoff pedigree details that make those Golden State players' career resumes pages long also bring a tremendous amount of miles on those legs with it as well. It's probably not completely a coincidence that Golden State was held to under 100 points for just the 4th time this season in Game 6, as it was the first time since between Games 1 and 2 that there weren't multiple days off between contests. The other 3 times the Warriors were held under 100 came during a stretch of playing their 5th game in 9 days, with each game being every other day, and on 2 other occasions during stretches of playing 3 games in 4 nights. Game 7 will be the 3rd game in 5 nights for this series with travel between all of them, and that means that experience and championship pedigree may not be the full advantage it appears to be. Not against a Kings team who you know is going to continue to push the pace, especially at home. If that championship experience starts to become seemingly worthless as it's the miles on all those legs that become the bigger story, what are Golden State backers left with? They are left with an old team that is 11-32 Sioux on the road in a Game 7 road game. You specifically take out the name Golden State Warriors from that equation and plug in any other team you want, and that's not a betting position I'm particularly fond of supporting. Taking the Kings in this spot does come with some nervous warts, as I said, but I don't think you can ignore Golden State's road record this year to solely bank on their pedigree. The idea that most of the world, especially the vast majority of recreational bettors, will be thinking that the Warriors' championship experience will be what carries them through this game and into the next round also gives off a huge contrarian vibe in terms of backing Sacramento in Game 7, and it's a vibe I'll always prefer to groove to. If this were a road game for this young Sacramento, the feeling would be quite different, but being comfortable at home where they were 2011 Sioux as home favorites and owning a 31-12 Sioux record when playing with equal rest also suggests there is something to potential Golden State fatigue. Sacramento had a plus 6.2 average margin of victory when playing with as much rest as their opponent, and their plus 3.4 at TS plus in those 43 games speaks volumes as well. Finally, the loudest noise of them all has come from the market, as the Kings opened up as the small underdog and have since crossed over zero and become the slight favorites. Despite the knowledge that a flood of Golden State money is likely to come in closer to tip as more bettors just simply can't go against the Warriors in this spot. You do this for long enough, and moves like that are generally not ones you want to step in front of very often, no matter how deep your information goes. Add it all up, and it's the Sacramento Kings I'm backing to make it to the 2nd round of the NBA playoffs. Our team picks Sacramento money line. I've already laid out some possible reasons why we see these specific defenses step up to the occasion for this Game 7, but totals betting in Game 7s of any sport are an easy handicap for me. It's under the number or nothing for 2 simple reasons. 1. Guys are willing to lay everything, bodies etc., on the line defensively to keep points goals from being scored to keep their season alive. You can't lose if they don't score. And 2. Referees are less likely to be honking away on their whistles all game, so that their calls aren't a reason the game is decided at the end. Refs, good ones, at least let these guys play physical and prefer the players determine the result themselves in Game 7s. It's tough to get up and over totals when there are far less free throws being taken, even if the Kings are out there looking for a track meet every possession. Defensively, everyone on both sides will be packing the paint, crashing the boards, doing whatever they can to ensure the opponent doesn't get an extra possession or an easy hoop, and the longer that goes on, the quicker the clock bleeds away. With fewer fouls called on the plays in the paint with all those bodies crashing around in Game 7s, it's a lot harder to score points and maintain a pace for overs to connect. So taking the under in Game 7s is more of a career-long strategy for me because of the specific game dynamics it brings and how that lends itself to the under. Even if there are arguments for an over wager in a specific contest, and these 2 offenses do present strong arguments for that, it's never something I'm interested in doing. If it happens, it's a 1-unit loss and I move on with my day. Too much just has to go right offensively on both sides in a Game 7 when most of the game dynamics are working in direct contrast with that idea that it's always got to be an underplay for me here. Our total pick is under 229.5 runs.